And the meeting is being recorded, just so everybody knows. How do I?
Okay, we have a few more handouts that will be scanned and sent to you, Jake, in a minute or two.
Not a problem. Go ahead, Gordy.
Here's the stack.
Okay.
Tracy, I'll share with you. Okay.
Where's the stack for Tracy?
Yeah.
I have extras. I'm prepared.
Okay, I'll share it with you. All right, we have a few items on your consent agenda today. So first one is a notice to vendors advertising the purchase and scheduling a bid opening for our liquid asphalt for our chip sealing program this summer. Item number 12 is local agency agreement for our on-call materials testing with bear testing, and that's for our summer construction program and other construction related items that we need certified testers.
Mm-hmm.
Item number 13 is a local agency project. We have a prospectus. The next two items, 13 and 14, is the prospectus and the local agency agreement for the federal funds to paint the steel members of the Rock Creek and Old Highway 8 bridge. And so this is just a requirement to move forward with construction this summer. Item number 15 is an easement between the county and the PUD, and this is for work that is on some of our property down near the park where the train is in Wishram, to officially give them an easement to be where the equipment already is. Let's see, item number 16 is a concurrence to award Courtney Road. So we did receive that as well. And that also will cut loose our funding, the 1.5 million as well. So we got all that last week ironed out with the state, so they processed it, which is great. Moved a lot faster than normal and that we thought might occur, so that's good news. Let's see, on the construction side, there's really nothing going on still, although the weather is really conducive to getting back out there. That should start back up fairly quick. On the road design side, Courtney Road, we talked about that, getting authorization to award, and also our funding cut loose. Klickitat path designers are still working with the permitting with parks in the state. They have a meeting set up with WashDOT and their ADA staff this week, and then we're setting up a public meeting in March, the end of March, to meet with the community out there to talk about the project in more detail. And so once we finalize the date and the location, we'll let you know if you care to attend. Let's see. Courthouse parking lots. I'll talk about that when we get down to the building. Work is ongoing, and our on-call consultant's still in the process of working through those details with the agreements. So on the maintenance side, our Goldendale and Bickleton shops, the crews are removing roadside brush since winter has left, as it seems.
I was gonna say you jinxed it.
We're running the mowers, we're grading. Guys are replacing the reflective guideposts on Bickleton Highway, areas of Bickleton Highway, not the whole thing, and Hale Road on the east side, and west side crews. They're removing roadside brush and some trees and repairing signs on Centerville Highway. and repairing the guardrail that we can repair. So some of it we cannot repair. The ends, the terminal ends, they have to be done by a certified installer. And so that's what we contract out for. And there's a few of those that get hit every year. Let's see. On the facilities, so the new building, the civil site work, we're gonna get to fill the hole up here in 1st of March. So we have somebody coming out to test the water again this week, and we'll get the results probably the end of the month. And then once we get there's no petroleum products in that water, then we'll haul it off and dispose of it, and then bring the rock back in to fill the hole. Tester's also gonna come out and test our well this week as well. So those will all be kind of ongoing things on the south side of our property. And that will allow us to backfill. So that backfilling of the hole will probably occur in March, starting somewhere in the 1st or 2nd week of March. And then I think we may we're working out with the contractor whether we'll continue with the rest of the work or they will, and keep that thing moving so we can use the rest of our parking lot. Let's see. Flooring, still have punch list items. Furniture, still waiting for things. Interior windows and door frames have some work left to do. Punch list items, the blinds, the blackout shades were installed. And I can't remember if I told you or not, our contractor had talked to the sub installing them, and they were just gonna throw them away, and we said, we'll throw them away for you. So we actually kept all those 5% shades, and in the future at some time when the dust settles on everything we have going, we can and we'll be able to replace some of those as the need arises. I know there are several individuals on the 1st floor that like the old 5% shades instead of the blackouts. And then somebody sitting next to me as well. Work continues on the HVAC units. They have more work this week, and they're trying to chip away at those noisy units. HR and weed space. So HR, the sprinkler system will be modified this week, and the new doors will arrive in March, so we can open things back up after they arrive, and we can close off that kitchen space between economic development and HR. So that's not till March, but it's just some of these items are long lead items. Let's see, parking expansion. So we have petitioned, last August, we petitioned the city to vacate a portion of Grant Street between Allen and Court for our parking lot expansion. So they're going to schedule the hearing for that on the 8th of next month. And they'll take a look at our plans. They've seen our plans before, but we'll have a more finalized package to give to them. And their vacation RCW actually requires that petitioners pay an amount of money for the actual property. So, which is different than our RCW, which is, it just gets given back to the property owners. In the city, you actually have to pay something for it. So we'll be working on that piece of it as well. In the courthouse, work there. So we abated the asbestos in your old space and HR over the weekend. We still have some pipes that we'll be removing that in the basements this week yet. So they come in and they bag the whole thing and the pipe, and then they abate the asbestos, and it's all contained. So different than the office space and what's on the floor. Let's see, radio site.
Radio site. So we're just about there with the lease. I handed you out this nice handout. Hopefully you got it, Jake. They sent it. They should have sent it over. We've been back and forth with the, I've been back and forth with the districts, and there's two of them that actually own the property. And the only sticking point left is they would like a one-time fee of $10,000 for administration and to appease some people that may not really be in support of us doing this. So what I gave you is the current lease sites and also what we paid. For instance, and then the second page, because they all have a multiplier on them, what I put on the spreadsheet, where we put on the spreadsheet is where it started. And if you look at it as it gets built out, for Flat Top, for instance, it started at $8,300 in 2012. And in 2022, when the lease is up, it'll be $10,000. That's a year. Bickleton, we actually bought that site. It was $115,000 because we had to buy 40 acres because they wouldn't sell us anything but 40 acres. Stacker was done in 2013, and it was, that's a little different. It doesn't have a builder. It does, but it doesn't multiply every year. And then that's the breakdown over the life of that one. Kaiser also has a buildup. It started at 6,000 and it ends at 14,000, and that's in 2022. Please keep in mind, most of them end around this time frame, so they'll all be renegotiated. The $10,000, again, I can go back to them if that's what you prefer and say no, but when you really look at what we're getting, the one-time charge for 10, and it's a 100-year lease with a 25-year opener. So it won't be opened up to renegotiate for 25 years.
And this is, we're talking about the conservation district.
Yes, this is Satis. This is the Satis site for the conservation district.
What did they pay for the land?
I'm not sure what they paid for it. I can get back to you on that. I'm sure it was because
A few $1 million.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Lauren and the $10,000, and I said, well, what are you guys going to use it for? And they said they'd probably use it to ensure, doing some sort of rehabilitation on the grounds from where we're doing the disturbance from working on the road and around the site and stuff like that. So I'm fine with it. $10,000 is a screaming deal.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm fine with it, but I will remember it.
Okay. Okay, I'll move forward then. So we'll probably be bringing that, I'll get that over to David to look at, and then we'll be bringing it forward, and that one will be executed.
okay, so we have the new RAP project grant
Oh,
proposals
yes.
next.
The new wrap, and that's all these things here, the aerials. So what it is RAP, which is CRAB, it's put on by CRAB. It's a granting program that's run every biennium, so every even year it's run. This is the major funding. While all the counties are involved in this, it was really set up for the small rural counties. It gives them the ability to fund projects that nobody else will fund. Like our rural collectors and arterials, we couldn't compete in a federal funding because we don't have the traffic volume. So they don't look at it that. And what it is there's different types of projects. And they don't have to be on the 6 year, and we typically don't put them on the 6 year because we have to think through what we want. And we look at them and see, because you want to win. You don't want to lose, so you want to win. So with that said, what we thought would score, and there's different varieties of projects. A 2R project, which is the Sunnyside project, is a paving project, essentially. It's an overlay, you grind, you put in new asphalt. It's an overlay similar to what we did on Trout Lake Highway. The Sundale, which is a 3R, is actually not a complete reconstruct. You fix some curbs, you do some widening, that type. It's a little bit more in depth. And then the reconstruction on Harm is a reconstruction. The reason we picked these is there's a couple reasons. one, they score good, but they also have, part of the scoring process is you have to determine, what the deficiencies are and why are they important to the county. Well, Sunnyside provides a connection between Trout Lake and the Gifford Pinchot. They use it for log hauling and other things. It's also a tourist road, so that's why it's important to us, or why it's important. And the road, if you've ever been on Sunnyside, is in not very good shape. Sundale, we put this one up forward last time as a 2R, and after more evaluation, we determined it would be better as a 3R. And if you're familiar with the Sundale area, it has expanded over the years. It's changed from, used to be wheat farming and cattle grazing to now grapes and vineyards. So it gets much more traffic, and it's more of a wine industry thing. Harms provides a connection to,
If I may, before you go on, Sundale, is that a reconstruction? Is that also the kind of realignment of the intersection with 14?
no, different process.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
this.
They
yeah,
won't pay for that?
Not
No.
yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
also, it's so if we already have a RAP grant secured for the piece. This is kind of the upfront piece from 14 up to our next RAP project we already have funding for, which reconstructs from there to Old Highway 8. So this is the front end that it's already been paved, but it was, not a lot was done to it before they shot it with BST.
Okay.
So it has some work that needs to be done, plus the paving.
And it's failing. The other thing I probably needed to tell you, you look at the biennium, it's 23 to 25, but the reality is we probably won't see this money till 26, 27, unless something happens, with legislature, or they decide, but, cause we got the old Highway 8 project, when did we get the first, I think at 20 or 2000, yeah, 20, and that's 24 before we'll ever see the money.
Right. Okay.
There is a 10% match associated with these. Again, there's 4 of these, but in reality, we need a variety, because Crab will come out and they actually do a physical evaluation of the roads. And then they give us some points. And from there, once we get those points, then we can determine which project to move forward so we can actually get the grant funding.
And there's one other piece with the extra 20 points
Mm-hmm.
that you get to decide, one of these projects, we get like 20 bonus points that we can put on any one of these to help boost it to the top of the list. So the idea is to score as well as you can on 1 or 2 projects. And then we also have a funding limit where we
Yes.
can't get more than, I don't know, it's 1.6.
The total funding limit's 3.4, but I don't know what they're gonna do. Funding limit, you're right, it's 1.6, but I don't know what they're gonna ask,
Yeah.
what they're gonna say.
So this, yeah, so if I have a $3 million project, they'll only fund 1.6 this biennium. They could fund the rest of the project in the next biennium. So you can fully fund a project, but it takes a couple cycles, and that's what we've done in the past as well.
So
Yeah,
you're gonna turn these over, they're gonna grade them and give them back essentially. And then we get to put our bonus points on the one we wanna put our bonus points on. And that's kind of the one we're trying to get done.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. And you may end up with 2,
yeah, that's,
because one may score high enough where it doesn't need any bonus points, and then you'll have 2 contenders. So that's
we try to
happened us.
maximize this to
I
where
don't
you
have
get.
that many questions about that one. What is this bridge replacement?
That's the Schrantz Road Bridge. It's over Wood Gulch. And that area has a lot of alternate energy or green energy been built on that. And that bridge is,
As well as farming.
as well as farming, uses it too. And years ago, it used to have a wood deck on it. They took the wood deck went to heck. They took the wood deck off. They found a deck. Doesn't really fit there. It never has fit the abutments. So I can't remember if we have restrictions on it or not, but
There's a speed limit restriction because of the impact loads at the end of the bridge. So if, you know, if you have some time, or we can go over some pictures of it. The
Yeah.
abutment's been raised and added onto. It's, at some point, we need to replace that structure. And it's one where there's lots of rock, so you're not gonna be in the water trying to build abutments and have a lot of permitting issues. And it's pretty straightforward, but at some point it needs to be replaced because it really is one of those cross links between Dot Road and Middle Road, and there are no others that aren't really primitive where you actually have to ford the creek.
right.
So it's an important link to maintain.
Yeah, I was just out there last week, and I wish I would have had this last week. I'd have drove over the thing.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, if you ever
On-
get
on
out there
my-
again, go
I-
look
Yeah.
under the bridge.
Yeah, look under the bridge.
Okay.
It's,
Stop, get out of the car, look under the
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah, it's interesting.
uh-huh.
I will be out there again soon.
So if we could move forward, submit, again, this is the preliminary piece of it. We're allowed to, again, there's no way we'll get all 4 of these because we just don't have the funding capacity. Best case scenario, we get 2. But we'll get their scores and then we'll be back again when we do the final prospectus. And the last thing I saw is they will score them. They'll give us the points back by the end of June. And then we'll probably have till September, October to submit something.
You gentlemen in favor of this?
I'm fine with it since we're not necessarily making any decisions. We're just submitting them for review.
Yes, I'm good.
I'm good as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is the plaque and the dedication. So that's the packet that shows a location down in the first floor lobby area. And there's actually 2 locations. We have to put up a defibrillator over near the wall on seniors. So we have very little wall space. And so we have this side of the main conference room on the right if you're looking toward the glass doors, or the left. And so we actually mocked something up so you could kind of see what it would look like. The second page actually shows the plaque itself, and this is pretty much the paper copy that we looked at. This is the plaque version of that. So if that makes sense,
I don't
you don't
care.
have to respond today. You can go
I
down.
guess
the
I
road.
was thinking it would be on the outside of the main entrance and not on the inside, but I guess you get less vandalism and whatnot on the inside, so
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I was just,
Our other buildings, it's on the inside, but it could go on the outside. It's,
I'm fine.
okay.
Less weathering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Less polishing of the bronze.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, just a quick handout of the WashDOT major projects, just for your information throughout the year. If you're wondering what they're doing, or you know, where you might see delays in traffic. And that's this next packet with a list, and there's actually a map attached to it. So the Dalles Bridge is an Oregon project, but WashDOT is partially involved. They have on schedule, they have weekend closures for the deck replacement. They plan to have that completed still before Memorial Day weekend. There'll be ongoing work after that that isn't done, but it won't be weekend closures. So the weekend closures theoretically should end before Memorial Day weekend this year. Sadus Pass Bridge replacement. This has been ongoing for a couple of years. So this year work will start up on the May 2022 and should be complete by the fall. So that should end the delays there. The slope stabilization project on 14, we've talked about that one before. Highway 97 paver that they started last year but didn't really make much progress on will continue this year. And that's gonna be nights from Centerville Highway all the way up to Sadus Pass. So that should go on once the weather gets warm enough to work at night. And then SR 142, there's a chip seal, and this will, it's pretty long. It goes all the way from Lyle up to Goldendale. And they're going to exempt out the town of Klickitat, and they will come back in 2024 and pave that segment. So that's the list in case you get questions. And then I wanted to bring up the good news. So you may have already heard this, but the Hood River Bridge did make the legislators list for funding in the amount of $75 million. So that'll be a big help to that project if it
Is it
actually
a
stays
state
on
or
the
a
list.
federal?
It's state dollars. Yeah.
Is that just?
So
one
this is,
state?
this is in the transportation package, not in direct appropriation, correct?
Right, correct, yeah. So it's, it's on the list. It's not finalized yet, so things can change, but it's good that it's on the list.
And that's the Washington side.
It's, the whole bridge, yeah.
Well,
just
right,
really
but I would imagine both sides would eventually put some money in there.
Yeah, so the
If one side
Oregon.
puts one, the other side. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it will,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
Let's see if we can get 75 from them and
It's
Yeah.
about half of what we need from Washington though.
Yeah. The other piece is Oregon's actually working through their legislative process, a framework for local governments in Oregon and Washington to work together on projects like this, because right now there's no real framework for
Right.
that to occur. So that's in the works. I think it's their House Bill 4089. So those are all in the works, and that's good news for the area.
The enabling legislation should pass both houses this year, or, both.
Let's see, I would think this to me is bad news, House Bill 1918.
Yeah.
For us, basically says, and I don't know if they got rid of the tax on this, taxing gas-powered outdoor equipment like chainsaws and weed eaters. If you buy a new one after July of this year, they have talked about it. I don't know if this will remain in this 6.5% additional tax on the sale of those products. The bad news though for the county and local government is though after January 1st of 2025, local governments may only purchase outdoor power equipment that is zero emission outdoor equipment. So that means our chainsaws and things we use for emergencies
Yeah,
would have to be battery powered, which
we'll be in trouble.
that's.
Yeah, we are working, the WASAC is working to either push out the time, because basically the market doesn't have a solution
yeah.
No,
to the
They
problem.
don't have the tools made that you can buy to obey the
Right.
law.
And then, or at the very least, exempt it during emergencies that, you're not gonna be, like if we have to go out and there are no tools available, how's that gonna work? And, because you're not gonna get compliance, because if there isn't something on the market that you can actually use, and we have a bunch of down trees and we have different stuff, people are just gonna use their chainsaws, their
Yeah.
gas-powered chainsaws. And so, rather than, we're trying to take not be in the policy of this is a good idea or a bad idea. It's like, it's not a practical idea right now and
Yeah.
it won't work.
Exactly.
So let's be realistic. So that's how we have pretty uniform support for that approach. Because there's some West Side counties that are all really just gung ho for the, zero emissions. And I'm not taking a position one way or the other on that, but it's like we're kind of avoiding that whole discussion. It's just the technology does not exist today to do this. So this is fine as an aspirational goal, but it won't work. So let's just acknowledge that and have a way out in an emergency situation. So
Where do you guys sit on the additional tax though?
I mean, I think we're opposed to, I think as a rule, we're generally opposed to additional taxes. And there's no direct connection between what's the tax for
Right.
Where it's the idea is that there's a penalty, there's to incentivize not buying a gas powered thing, but what do you do with the money?
Yeah.
If it's to fund creation of these actual products that will meet the guidelines, that would be one connection. But if it's just additional revenue to the state, that sounds like a hard pass, at least for me.
Yeah, technology has to come up. Though.
Yeah,
You're
it's got
right.
to, and I fully expect they'll be able to do it eventually, but you don't create the problem without the solution
Exactly.
already at least on the horizon, not, oh, we hope we're gonna have the technology when this takes effect.
Right. Yeah, because this is for, I think 25 horse engines and less, so
Right.
all of our riding mowers.
Exactly.
Small
Whole thing.
tractors.
Weed eaters,
all that
edgers,
stuff.
leaf
Yeah.
blowers.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, and if you priced them, you're gonna, right now, people, it's just an extra tax that,
Right.
because you're gonna buy the gas powered one. It's gonna be cheaper paying the tax for
Right.
it, which is kind of sad.
I'm waiting for them to tell you that since your generators are under 25 horse, you gotta have an electric generator too.
Yeah.
Let's see them make that one.
Yeah, there was a joke about, well, it'll,
Right?
the
True.
price of really long extension cords will go up.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a couple of quickie questions, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
You may.
Picnic tables. We talked about more picnic tables for the courthouse lawn. Have we moved on that in any way, shape, or form before summer gets here? And a question about vacating roads. We have a road vacation on our schedule. Looking through the packet, the petitioners are paying for all fees and whatnot to vacate said road, which I like, but it brought back O'Brien Road into my memory, of which we're building the turnarounds. And I'm trying to figure out why were we building the turnarounds and not the petitioner that wanted to close the road.
We have typically done the turnarounds on all of our dead end roads, and we've never gone down that segment of O'Brien Road in bad weather conditions. So if we do anything out there, we have never had a place to turn around. And this was always something we needed to do, even before these locations were established.
Okay.
Commissioner Sauter, do you have any questions?
No, just a comment. Please thank Kim. I'm actually sending her, she did great work on the access question in Lyle, although I'm still digesting it. It's a lot more information, not necessarily any clearer necessarily, because there's a lot of, there's just a lot of information there that I'm sorting through, but it was excellent work. So please, I'm gonna thank her myself personally, but please know she's a wonder. I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
she's great.
finding the, getting the old, which I learned some stuff as far as I was kind of curious about the Highway 14 bridge and the old, like that was always just the lore that the piers that are upriver were the old original bridge, but I didn't realize I thought that was like pre North Bank Highway, Old Highway 8, but that was the original Old Highway 8 bridge. I think there was actually another bridge further upstream that was the wood frame, like wagon train things. And so then the Highway 14 bridge dates, that makes sense now that the date on it is 1933, because I always thought, that's an interesting, so that was an interim, or was built after the North Bank when they just, they realized, because obviously from her stuff, that was not a super useful with the curve back up river to go over that bridge. So, but anyway, still learning a lot of stuff. So great
Yeah,
work.
We're very fortunate. to
Yes,
have
we
this
are.
Very.
Still here.
That's all I had, really.
Good.
No, it was good.
Actually, I have one more question. If we can go back to the bridge that you had in your other packet.
Mhm.
When we do green energy projects, they have road haul agreements that they have to fix and repair roads and, I get all that. do we ever have any kind of a, let's say a charge like we do with the Republic trucks going up the Roosevelt grade, that can then be used to help repair damaged bridges like this one?
So what we make them require that they do is to evaluate and make repairs up front. You know, and I suppose if we actually had a project on the list, they could contribute to that project.
If they're driving across the
Their,
bridge?
their
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a possibility as well. But typically we make them do all their, account for all their road use, whether that's adding gravel, re-chip sealing,
Right.
repaving a road.
I'm just trying to
upfront.
figure out how we would be able to figure out what their percentage of wear and tear on a bridge.
Yeah, we have a structural, they have to do a structural evaluation of it. We have it peer reviewed by our structural on-call.
Yes.
So we cover that every time they cross a bridge or
Okay.
structure, yeah.
Yeah, that one, as a matter of fact, we tagged them to pave the approaches on that. So it's kind of, you drove out there, all of a sudden you hit asphalt. This is kind of strange.
Okay.
But that was to limit the impact to the bridge.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And thank you, Gordy and Jeff.
Yeah,
I don't have any questions at this time.
Still working on your picnic tables too.
I figured I was just
Yep.
gonna give you a reminder.
Yep, we haven't forgotten. Thank you.
Come on forward.
You can pull that other chair, Jeff, if you want, from the side over here.
Since I've not been here for 3 weeks out of the last 5 since our last update, these gentlemen have been handling most
Ah,
things. I'm
well,
gonna
there you
let
go.
them take the point, and I'll have it back right here.
Not sure how many times I have to hear about Mexico for 3 weeks, but okay.
So we have some updates, so.
Sure.
Sir?
Whenever you're ready, gentlemen.
Thank you. Well, as Jeff said, he's been on vacation for the last 3 weeks, so here we are. Just an update for the radio system performance and functionality. We continue to have some interference on the Fire County and West Ops channels. That's been an ongoing thing. As a result of some increased interference, we had to take the West Ops channels down January 28th at the Kaiser Ridge site. So far, we have had no major issues reported by the users, and we've been monitoring that.
Where's the Kaiser Ridge site, by the way?
And that is going to be, it's on the Oregon side, the river, and it affects basically the Wishram area along Highway 14.
It's kind of, it seems like it's on the Oregon side about, like,
Right across from Avery.
right across from Avery.
On the right side of the river.
So yeah, it covers that part of 14. So far, we've been managing, and the if it was to cause any issues because of it being down, it would be minimal to the handheld radios. So I've been in communication with Day Wireless representatives during that time, and we had some crews make adjustments to the equipment at Stacker Butte, which is part of where the interference is coming from in that area. Unfortunately, there was not any changes. So Data Wireless will continue to work with the responsible parties on that. There's progress being made on that, so we're still hopeful that in the short time it will be handled. During the last 3 weeks, we had some freezing weather and some power, I guess not shortages, but there were some power surges in the area, especially in Bickleton. So that caused some interruption there with the power flickering on and off, and the site battery charging system breaker tripped. So it caused for a trip up to the site to get that repaired. The site continued working on battery power as it's designed. What caused it with the breaker tripping, just for the batteries not to be charged and go back onto regular power when the power actually came back. So as part of this, expedition up to Bickleton, and still dealing with snow and different things, we owe a big thanks to the Bickleton store staff. They facilitated us, with weather conditions, road conditions to the site, which we were able to get to the techs and make that trip a little more easier and handle that. So we always appreciate being able to contact somebody down there and get updates.
Do you know if these, I know I'm asking a bunch of weird questions, do you know if these backup batteries, what kind of batteries they are? Are they wet cell? Are they lithium ion? Are they, do we know?
Ask Jeff.
Yep. He didn't learn that in 3 weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They're fully sealed gel cell batteries.
Gel cell,
And
got
they're
it.
not, the term backup is kind of a misconception. The site, all the radio equipment at the site runs off of the 48-volt DC battery plant, and the grid charges those batteries.
Right.
As sort of a stopgap between any surges in the grid affecting our system.
Right.
So they run off the batteries normally, and the grid charges those batteries.
Got it. Thank you, gentlemen.
My apologies.
Yep.
My job was to keep it running, so
Great.
we kept it running.
Well, we appreciate it.
As far as maintenance, those items are still on hold, so we'll move on. Radio site lease agreements are still on hold, and
One thing I will mention in that section, I just found out this morning, Wave Broadband has now been bought out again. They used to be SawNet. Then they were Wave. Just learned this morning while I was out of Astound. I've never heard of Astound. I don't know if Commissioner Anderson has. ASTOUND. It's now bought out Wave Broadband, so something we all might in our connections with broadband in the county and so on. And as they are partnered with us at Diamond Gap and co-located with Flat Top and other sites, we'll be working with them as a new company. They're in transition right now. And the reason I found out is because I'm still trying to get them to pay the service technician's bill to go up to Diamond Gap during the power outage multi-day during the storm when that site went offline completely.
Just so you guys all know, whenever Jeff's talking, it's really almost impossible to hear him. The ceiling mics are turned way down.
We'll give him the handheld.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Commissioner Anderson, I don't know if you're aware, I know that you've been most involved in the broadband projects across the county, but Wave Broadband has been bought out by Astound, and I just learned that this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, so aside from those items that are still on hold, as far as the 911 call taking public safety radio dispatching side, we were hopeful to have some call volumes and report those and I'll get to that in a little bit. I still don't have them available. Staffing, we continue to do as we were with emergency staffing conditions. The 3 communications officers are still in training, and we're progressing on that. And yeah.
Jeff, would you turn the handheld mic off? You're creating, it sounds like feedback.
All right. And then so we were scheduled to have a phone system update. We ran into some issues. We had our backup phone systems were down as a result of US Wireless site being down in the area. So unfortunately, that is our backup cell phones in case the system goes down. And it was scheduled to go down during the maintenance. We worked with our partners in the gorge to handle those calls and transfer them to our backup lines. So due to the loss of that and loss of CenturyLink internet, we were unable to move forward on that. So that is being rescheduled, and that is part of the updates that will fix the call volume reporting. We continue to work on the text to 911, and that is directly tied into that phone system update. So once we have that, we'll be able to move forward with those capabilities. As part of the state access system, this is the system we use to check for warrants and driver's license and things like that. Just part of the day-to-day, we are scheduled this year for technical audits, and I'm looking forward to later in the year, we'll have regular audits. And that's just day-to-day work in which I'll be working with our technical services and providing information as to just reporting on our security and infrastructure in our county, that we're able to meet those requirements to continue having that access. So as I mentioned, it's just day-to-day biannual reviews. So on SB 5555, we talked about that at the last presentation. That Senate bill has passed the Senate with full support, with all 49 senators supporting it, and now it's in the House. So we continue to track that and hopeful that it will give us good news so that we may move with certifications and such recognition for the dispatchers. MCI casualty plan continues to be on hold for now. And I will pass the mic on to Frank for the rest of the updates unless you have any questions on. Okay, perfect.
Good morning. Well, 6 months since I started this position, and things have moving along pretty good. And just try to give you guys a quick update. COVID-19, we're still processing requests for personal protective equipment and other equipment as needed by different organizations within the county. We have quite a bit of PPE on hand, masks, gloves, things like that. And so when we get those requests, we try to fill them from our stockpile as best we can so we can get the equipment out there. But if it's a large quantity or something that we don't have, we're still following that through the state. And right now it's about a 1-week turnaround for them. If they have it in stock at the state, at the warehouse, it's about a week, and they drop ship it straight to those people that need it. So we've been processing requests, with our stockpile. White Salmon School District, North Shore Medical has been to this twice in the last 3 weeks, because they're helping us get masks out to the general public as a location that people can go to, being well received out there. And so they hey, we need more, and we get it to them, and they come pick it up. White Salmon Fire as well, and then adult probation here in the services building. We just filled one for them last week as well, or posted one for the state. So everything's working well there at the state EOC. We're having regular updates and meetings with the state EOC, especially with everything changing with the different states on mask mandates and equipment. But on a side note, the schools and the medical facilities also have another avenue to get PPE and equipment. But when they need something right away, they've been getting hold of us. And we usually get something to them within 24 to 48 hours at the latest, from getting their request to them having it on site. The outdoor burn ban, we haven't done any work on that yet, but we're talking about that already. And because April's right around the corner, it's kind of top of our list to get that updated and ready for the season to come up. Training and exercises, that's been exciting stuff in the last month and a half. With the COVID-19 EOC activation, we relied on the volunteers, and we deactivated the volunteers, kind of got a break from that. And we re-energized that program. We had our first meeting in January with 4 people attending, and we had our second meeting in February, and we had 11 people, volunteers attending. So they're getting back into it. We're meeting once a month on the first Thursday of the month. And we've already established a training program and using our volunteers to do the training. And our first one's gonna have to do with hazmat and things like that. So we're gonna have training on Thursday night and then actually have a hands-on exercise that weekend. The volunteers are all looking forward to it. So we have some amazing volunteers in the county. And they're willing to share the knowledge that they bring from outside the county when they moved here and what they did with the county while they were here. We're gonna leverage that. But on a side note, we're trying to find more volunteers because the volunteers that we did have, when we contacted them, we're starting back up, there's a few that they just can't, they don't have the time, the ability to volunteer. And we are no different than any other county, especially on this side of the mountain range, that we are volunteer dependent to when we need to activate, we need to have the people. We're just gonna leverage them the best we can. So it's exciting. We're gonna have a lot going on. And then next week, on the 23rd, we have a requirement to update our plans, SOPs. And one of those is the Benjamin Point Incident Response Plan. So if something were to happen on the south side of Highway 14 on Benjamin Point, how we're gonna react to that. We do have the rail cars come through that area. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. So all the stakeholders, whether it's local government, employers, they all have a stake in that, helping that plan. And so we are gonna get that updated. We're gonna review it as a group, make the changes, make sure we have the right points of contacts in there. So if something were to go, who do we get a hold of? The names have changed, positions have changed. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna spend some time together and get to know each other and get that plan updated. And then with our grants, everything's going on track right now. Tracking everything really well. We're getting our reports submitted on time to the state because it is pretty intensive on what has to be submitted when and having the paperwork to go with that. So everything's been going really well. And again, the most exciting part for me right now is the volunteer program, just getting to know some of these people within the county and the knowledge that we have available to us and we can leverage. We did have a communications exercise. And typically when we have those exercises, talking radio to radio to Camp Murray there on the other side of the state, it's usually 2 volunteers there and they kind of just take over. And we actually had some new people show up, and so they're trying to learn, and that knowledge is getting shared that way, because not everybody can show up every time. So we are expanding that knowledge base within the volunteers that we do have as well. So if you know of any volunteers, people that are bored, want to help, we most definitely look into it. And so we're working on trying to figure out how we're gonna get the word out to the community that we're looking for volunteers, what kind of skills that they could learn from it, or what we're looking for them to bring to us. So I really look forward to that. It's exciting times. Pending any of the further questions.
I don't have anything.
Could you go, I saw here the incident, the Benjamin Point incident response exercise.
Right, that's the one I was talking about. That's gonna be in White Salmon next week for Benjamin Point. Yep, so actually the incidents incident plan's a book about that big with all the different stakeholders within the Pinch Point area. That was like 5 years, no, it's longer than that even. But we have a requirement to review it. And so we're gonna do that. So we've had the word out for about 2 months now to give them time to look at it. And we are gonna do it at the White Salmon Fire Hall. This makes it easier for all the SDS folks and all those folks to be there and get that involvement. So, and I'll have a after action report once we get done with that. So hopefully we can share something there.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, sir.
No, sir, I'm fine.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, guys.
Congratulations on your first update.
Yeah, thank you.
Not too
We're
painful.
just glad Jeff is back.
You sounded a smidge.
Gentlemen, do you have anything else to chat about?
No.
Really? No. Not.
Okay.
So you ready for?
Actually, before you make a motion.
Yeah.
In the consent agenda, items number 1 and items number 16, I would request get done separately than the rest. When we get to there.
Okay. Just a minute. I think I know what those are, but,
1 is, public health appointment, and
Oh.
16 is Courtney Road.
okay. Okay.
All right, well, when you make the motion, you just make the motion not including them, and then we'll bring them up individually.
Okay.
Okay. If not, then, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to adjourn the meeting for lunch break, be back at 1 o'clock.
I would second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting until 1 o'clock. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. I will see you gentlemen soon.
Okay.
Are you guys still muted?
Sorry, now we're good. Can you hear us?
Okay. It being 1 o'clock, we are going to call the regular business meeting for the Klickitat County Board of County Commissioners to order on February 15th, 2022. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would please stand with me.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I would entertain a motion for the,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the business agenda as presented.
I will second that motion.
there's a motion and a second on the business agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I got a kind of interesting minute for you. So we will start with making a motion for approval of the January 18th minutes.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the January 18th minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for February 8th, 2022 as presented. This was for last week when you were not here.
Okay, I will second
Okay.
that.
There's a motion to approve last week's minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain.
And Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we hold over the January 25th and the February 1st minutes because I haven't seen the the updated copies.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that as well. Thank you, Commissioner Christopher. All right, now we will move into citizen comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. This is your opportunity to comment to the Board of County Commissioners. We will respond, if we can respond and choose to respond, at 1:25. I will start, as always, in the room. Is there anybody in the room who would like to give public comment?
Not at this time, maybe later.
Okay, I will move online, and I have Trout Lake Community Council Chair Bambi for 3 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment. I am Diana Bambi, Chair of Trout Lake Community Council, and I reside at 2274 Highway 141. I will want to read the text of a letter that we are sending today to the Board of County Commissioners via hard copy. RE Klickitat County 2021 Redistricting Plan. In our letters of December 21 of 2021 and January 12, 2022, the Trout Lake Community Council expressed our community's concerns and dissatisfaction with the redistricting process and its subsequent outcome approved by the Klickitat County Board of Commissioners in December of 2021. We were provided a copy of the county attorney's response to the request for Superior Court review filed by 4 Trout Lake residents. It was disappointing to see the county's response, essentially dismissing the validity of the concerns expressed by those constituents. It is particularly disappointing to see that the county continues to utilize compensatory fees, which act as a barrier in limiting public engagement in this instance and in many other county programs, such as planning appeals. It is truly a disservice to your constituents. Over the past month, Trout Lake Community Council provided an opportunity for District 1 and District 2 voters to support a petition regarding the county's redistricting process and decision. Community members are especially dissatisfied that our community is still split into 2 commissioner districts, and as such, the county's redistricting plan fails to meet many of the requirements of RCW 29A.76.010, especially element 4E. As of this date, 113 residents have signed the petition. To our knowledge, 3 residents have sent letters to the Board of County Commissioners regarding this topic. We have included those documents as attachments to this letter and request that you maintain these documents as an integral part of the county's public records files on the redistricting process. Respectfully submitted, Dinah Bambi, Chair, Trout Lake Community Council. Thus ends my public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Bambi. Next, we will go to, is anybody else looking to make public comment? I see Patricia Arnold's video is on. Would you like to provide public comment?
I was just here to keep Dinah company.
Okay. All right. If anybody else would like to provide public comment, raise your hand. *6 if you're on a phone. You can turn your video on, try to get our attention in any way.
3376 is unmuted.
3376 is unmuted.
Okay, I did not see that. 3376. And please give us your name if you would.
Yes, good afternoon. Ken McCune in Goldendale. I wanted to read a letter I received from Rob Crocker from Oportus. He was in town Friday and took a look at the annex building. He said, I did indeed take a look at the building on Friday. It's a cool old building. For what it would take to purchase and the amount of work and money it would take to renovate, I am not confident that I could make it pencil out. Many small communities have grants available to help save buildings like this. It doesn't appear like Goldendale has any such resource. It's going to make it hard for small developers to save buildings like this without some kind of financial support and or incentive. If the city is ever interested in learning more about how I've been able to leverage local grants and tax increment financing to save and renovate over a dozen historic commercial buildings over the past 17 years, I'd be happy to share my experience with them. Without some kind of long-term plan and commitment to help incentivize, rehab, and redevelop of these historic buildings, I think it will prove very difficult to prevent even more of them from being demolished in the coming decades. I appreciate you reaching out to me. I hope I can be of service to the city of Goldendale in the future. Rob from Portis. I wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to definitely, we had an ongoing discussion on Facebook and about the issue. There's about 50 of us bantering back and forth, and I particularly want to thank Commissioner Christopher for joining in on the conversation. I learned things from him in his participating, talking with us that I would never have picked up anyplace else. So if for that reason alone, social media is a good thing. To hear from an elected official like Dan, who's willing to chime in and tell us the way it is. And I have a lot of confidence in him now after hearing what he told us in the chat room there. And when it comes to dismantling the annex, it's going to be a big, dirty job, probably, expensive. But in the end, could you guys arrange for private citizens to maybe get some of those bricks when they start coming down? Like maybe a dump truck full for $50 or something. Some way to distribute those bricks. I know if they're too contaminated, maybe you can't do it, but depending on the amount of contamination involved after it's torn down, those bricks are really beautiful and should be preserved and used if possible. That's all I have to say. And thanks again, Dan. You really made the conversation interesting. You gave us a lot of information about what you're doing for the county, and it all looks good to me.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
And I wanted to mention, thank you for keeping that conversation on Facebook civil. It doesn't always happen. So it's nice when we can do those things.
Absolutely, yes. Communication's a key to good governing. Bye. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. McKeon. Okay, anybody else interested and willing to provide public comment? Star 6, raise your hand. I heard somebody, but I think it was feedback from Ken. Anybody in the room changed their mind yet?
No, but they're holding their cards close to their chest for now.
Okay. Well, if anybody would like to provide public comment, please get a hold of us. Until then, I think we always have stuff to do.
I will say I do like this, Commissioner Christopher. I do like Ken's idea about the bricks. I agree with him. I don't know what we can do there, but next week we can ask Gordy and see about that, because it would be kind of nice to see that piece of history integrated into various homeowner projects around the county. I think that would be really special. So good idea, Ken.
Thank you, Commissioner Christopher.
Except he's offline already. Said he usually doesn't stick around for us making our comments. So
All right. Well, we will sit here for a little while longer.
we got time. You're here.
Yeah, I'm seeing some names on here I haven't seen quite a long time. Since nobody feels like stepping forward, would either of you gentlemen like to respond to the Trout Lake Community Council Chair's letter?
This is Commissioner Christopher, I guess I can start with that. I have received all the documents from the Trout Lake community. I have read all the documents from the Trout Lake community. I have not responded to any of those documents. And I won't publicly respond during citizen comment either. Right now, that case is pending litigation. So it's over in the courthouse building. And so while it's in pending litigation, probably not a good idea to speak about it. So I'll be happy to speak about it when that's over.
Okay. Commissioner Sauter, are you same feeling?
Yeah, I mean, as far as anything that is pending litigation, we generally are, it's not a good idea to comment on. And that is an unfortunate aspect of when a case is filed, the communication then must take place through the courts.
To the lawyers.
Through the lawyers. And so I don't comment on pending litigation.
All right. Is there anybody else who's interested in providing public comment?
I am.
Yes. Have one in the room, sir.
Got one? All right. Come
Step forward
forward,
so
let
we
us
can
know
hear
your
you on the
name.
Stand, sit, however you want to do it.
Name's Susan Kelsey Goldendale. A couple weeks ago, I came in and talked to you about public record requests and the impact and cost on the county budget. And I asked some questions, and what I gleaned from that was that it was a concern when someone does an excess and weaponizes the process. And that had been brought up to legislators and hoping that they would address this. And so here's a follow-up that I did, because I think this is really important that we don't drop the ball on this. So what I figured out is if there was a minimum wage person who was paid $15, and say it took them 32 hours to process one report, that'd be $480. I'm hoping that my math is correct. And then if it was somebody who was, say, in a supervisor or manager position who was paid $50 an hour, and same thing, they took 32 hours, it would come out to $1,600 to process one report. So just say that minimum wage person then had 5 reports that they had to process that took that amount of time. That drives it up to $2,400, and then the maximum wage at 50 was $8,000 to process 5 reports. And so, if that is costing the county to process reports at that, from just one department at 5 reports, times that about all the different departments that probably have to go through that process, we're looking at a real significant cost to the county via the taxpayers. And so I guess I just want to really encourage you to continue, for if the process is through the legislators, to go ahead and continue that process of getting them to look at this. And if I can help by calling up Representative Mossbrucker or Chris Corey, who are our representatives, I would like to do that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Kelsey. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to provide public comment?
You have 0088, sir.
0088.
it sounds like you guys are really behind on your technology. Sounds like the 1960s. Yeah, you know, you move the cursor to the public records request that someone wants, and you push it, and it comes up, and then you email it to the person that was looking for it. Now, how much does that cost? You can't, I mean, I can't believe you guys operate like this was the 1960s. You guys better catch up with time if you're going to be efficient and get things done properly. That's all I have to say.
Could I get your name for the record?
Oh, you know,
Sure.
but this Delmer Eldred, Goldendale.
Thank you, Mr. Eldred. Does that conclude your comment?
Well, I could say a lot more, but it don't, it's like talking to the wall. It don't have any effect on you guys anyway. So.
Thank you for your comment, sir. If there's anybody else who would like to provide public comment, I thought I saw one person's video pop up. It said wall on it. No, I don't see him. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to provide public comment? I see some movement in there. I am not seeing anybody. Would either of you commissioners like to respond to Ms. Kelsey or Mr. Eldred?
Pat Arnold has her hand up, sir.
Oh, Pat, please.
Since we have some dead time here, and I know you're not going to respond, but I just want to say that I have not seen any announcement. I know you authorized the hiring of a long-range planner, and I think we might have talked about this a little bit at the council meeting. And I wasn't aware if that has happened or not. So my comment is that there's still some of us interested in that prospect of having a long-range planner on staff.
Is that your comment? Or you have anything else, Pat? I can respond to that really quick. It is still advertised. We have interviewed, and I believe we job offered one person, and they declined the position. And we are doing everything we can, even going out and on LinkedIn and looking around, trying to get anybody interested. It's a tough job market right now, but it is in the budget, and we would like to have someone on board as soon as possible.
I I wholeheartedly agree.
Is there anybody else who would like to provide public comment? This is your last chance if you are waiting to get the last word in. Okay. Would either of you commissioners like to respond to any of the speakers?
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would respond to both Ms. Kelsey and Ms. Eldred because they're kind of related topics on public records. As we said before, as far as it is, it can be somewhat burdensome to respond to these very large requests for public records. I do want to be clear. I mean, it is our job to respond to public records requests, and that's part of what we're supposed to do. I do think that there is a misunderstanding or a disconnect as to what goes into actually responding to a public records request. And this, I'm speaking mostly to Mr. Eldred right now, as far as it is not, if it simply is a ask for a specific document, then yes, that is relatively easy to do. It can just be copied and sent, emailed. It's not a big deal. It does not take a lot of staff time. But the records requests are generally much more complicated than that. There are many data that is, there's a lot of data sometimes in documents that needs to be redacted, and so that we can't actually share, that we're prohibited from sharing. It could be personal information, it could be people's employment history, it could be different things. And so it actually takes somebody looking through the documents to be sure that we're not releasing something that we shouldn't be releasing, because we would get in trouble for doing that as well. And so it's not just as simple as, copy, paste, and push send. I know how to do that, and staff knows how to do that. As to the, the level of costs that's associated with it, we are trying to track that so that we know, because we're actually required, if our costs to fulfill public records requests exceed $100,000 in a year, we actually have to report that to the legislature. And so, and that is, in part of that is that they are trying to respond so that they understand how much of an issue this really is. And so, to date, we have not had to file that. We have not had documented costs exceeding $100,000, at least to our knowledge, and we are certifying that. And so that is something, though, that we are tracking and watching.
Commissioner Christopher?
Yeah, I would just kind of add to that. Again, it comes to and I'm all for transparency and sharing documents, and because I'm kind of the guy that campaigned on not doing anything behind closed doors and everything should be open and available to the people. And I 100% still believe that. But if a public records request comes in and says, I want a copy of every email Commissioner Christopher sent to Delmer Eldridge, boom, I can quickly do a search. There might be 4, here's the 4, boom, it could be out the same day. The difference is when you say, I want every ingoing and outgoing email from every commissioner, every chat, every note, every, handwritten note, every whatever, and then you have just little pieces of paper that qualify for a note that you then have to find if it fits in the date range. You have to go through each one of those hundreds of emails, which most of them are just incoming junk email, and make sure that there's nothing in there that needs to be redacted. And that's where you get into the time-consuming process. If people want a specific request, it can usually be handled post-haste. It's just those over general fishing expeditions that take time. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would agree with both of my seatmates, and that some things that seem very simple usually are not when you're stuck following all the rules. All right, we have 3 minutes left. If there is one last person who would like to provide public comment, I will allow that. Raise your hand, *6. I am not seeing anyone. Well, those mics are really good because that was loud.
Oh, my hand was over my face, so. I have a mute. I should have pushed the mute button, but I didn't.
I will say we've been having many people comment during public comment for the last few months about our sound quality, and I'm very happy to say that it is fixed, and I can no longer hear a paper drop at the back of the room, but yet not be able to hear my seatmates at the front of the room. So I am very glad that the mics are installed and that they are working well. I can hear everyone really well. I can hear people at the table well. I cannot understand if one of our directors is sitting in the front row. So we just need to be cognizant of that for the people who are listening in. You should be near a mic. All right. With that, we are going to close the public comment section, and we are going to move into the public hearing. Is Gordy and Jeff in the room?
Gordy is, sir.
Yes.
All right. Come on forward, Gordy. So I'm going to declare the public hearing open, that we will be taking testimony for or against the vacation of the, oh, I can't even say the name, McCoustic Alley. How do you say the name, Gordy?
I've been pronouncing it McCustian, but I'm not sure if that's correct either.
Sounds better than mine. All right. Gordy, would you please provide a brief staff update?
All right. In accordance with RCW 3687040, I've prepared an engineer's report for the record. McCustian Alley is a short, 20-foot wide, unopened section of county right-of-way. It was created with a short plat, and our records do not show that it's ever been maintained or used by the county. There is a utility easement of record that bisects the alley. There are no known utilities that we know that exist through there, but we would like to still keep rights for utilities for the rest of that utility easement that kind of bisects our right-of-way. The unused McCustian Alley proposed for vacation is approximately 300 feet in length and connects State Route 141 to the county's Trout Lake Park Road, but there's nothing there. It's just wooded. Let's see. The right-of-way being petitioned for vacation provides access to the 4 requesters' property and is not used by the general public. As this section of right-of-way does not serve the general public and provides no current or future connectivity, it has no useful purpose for the county road system. Costs associated with this road vacation are limited to the hearing advertisement, administrative fees associated with the hearing, and road log record changes, and are about approximately $500 in cost. These costs will be reimbursed to the county by the petitioners. For the reasons stated above, it would be in the best interests of the county to vacate this road right-of-way and turn it back over to the adjacent property owners for their management and use. And that concludes my engineer's report.
Thank you, Director Kelsey. I will now open this public hearing up for public comment. And if you would like, we have no sign-in sheet. And is there anyone in the room who would like to provide public comment on this? Please come forward. I am not seeing anyone. If there's anyone who would like to provide public testimony that is on via Zoom, please unmute yourself, raise your hand, and we would love to hear your comment. And let me know if you guys, oh, we have Miss Bambi.
Yes, I apologize. I didn't do any tracking on this topic, but the question I do have is, has an analysis been done as to whether or not that right of way could be utilized in the future for ingress, egress via an emergency? That's the only concern. That's one of our main concerns as a council is making sure that we don't forego those options in past developments or in future developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Bambi. Is there anybody else who would like to provide public testimony?
My name is Alicia Crockett. I'm actually one of the property owners next to the alley. And I don't have much to say. I agree with the report. Basically, this is just an unused 20-foot stretch of property or 20-foot wide stretch of property that's in between what's now the CenturyLink station and my property, and then my two neighbors that are behind me. I know that the neighbor who petitioned for this, the only viable spot for them to put a septic field on their property is right in what is now considered the alley. But again, as as someone who lives here, I mean, you would never even know that there was anything there given looking at the property. It's essentially, a wooded and grassy stretch of land that looks as if it's part of all the adjacent properties. I don't really see there being any future need or purpose for it because there are through roads, within 200 yards on either side of these properties that go between Park Road and Highway 141 currently.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Crockett. Is there anybody else
Sorry about that.
interested in providing public comment? Making me dizzy, Dan.
Just thought I'd show everybody what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, that was great. I just couldn't see the rest of the names on the laptop when you did that. It does not look so. I will ask one last time. Is there anybody else interested in providing public comment? Oh, Darlene Morrow.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, you have the floor. Can I get your name and address?
My name is Daniel Morrow, and I'm in Prosser, but I own the property we're trying to get this vacated, and my portion of the property is a hill, so you'd never be able to use it for an alleyway because it's too close to the house. The house that is across from me, he actually built 5 feet from the line anyway. So his house is actually too close to it. That's another reason why we wanted it out of there. But Alicia's right. I need, it's not that I need the property for the septic. It's I need to be within so many feet of my line, so that encroaches that line of that alley. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Morrow. Okay, I will ask one last time. Is there anybody else interested in providing public comment? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment portion and ask my seatmates, do you have anything that you have any questions, clarification of any of the statements that have been made?
Yes, this is Commissioner
Christopher.
I just wanted to reiterate the statement made by Director Kelsey that the requesters of this vacation will be paying all fees for this vacation. So this is not using your taxpayer funds. This is not an alleyway that's in use or will future be in use. And that's all I have, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I-
Commissioner Cr-
thank you. Director Kelsey, just to the, and I think a relevant question was asked about the fire access in the future. That's obviously is an area of concern, throughout the county. So was there some consideration of that? I do see on the map, as one of the other commenters said, there is the state route, and then there is the county road that is on both ends of these properties. So, but was there some consideration, or was that part of the analysis when you were looking at this alley?
No, because it's narrow. It'd be, pretty narrow for any kind of real access that we would build today. And we have good access within, as mentioned, a couple 100 yards. So you have Trout Lake Park Road on about a couple 100 yards away to the north, and then to the south is Jennings Road. And those are both good access roads, as well as Trout Lake Park, which parallels 141. So there's quite a bit of access here.
Okay, thank
And
you.
in order to develop McCushton Alley, you'd need more right of way.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That was going to be my comment was, with what can we really do with 20 feet based on county specs and county standards nowadays? Okay, if there is no further questions, we are going to close the hearing and enter discussion by the board. Seatmates, is there anything you would like to discuss on this?
No, sir. If you're ready for a motion, I would be willing to make one.
Would be happy for a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to accept the staff recommendation in the matter and vacate McCushton Alley. Yeah, that's it.
Mr. Chairman, I would second the motion.
There's been a motion and a second to accept the Public Works recommendation and vacate the alley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank
you for your
you,
testimony,
Gordy.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, sometimes brevity is good. We don't have to make it.
Don't want to read all the lines in there. And
No.
All right, we are going to move on to new business. Public Health Director Erin Quinn, request to fill a vacant nurse position.
Yeah, I just need verbal authorization to advertise for the, Sherry Collar nurse is leaving to continue her education. So she'll be leaving March 18th, so we'd like to advertise for her position. She's our immunization coordinator and coordinates this children with special health care needs program as well. So just to replace that position. Thank you. It is budgeted. It is grant
Oh, there you go.
funded.
I was
read it.
waiting for it.
I didn't have to ask
I
because
know.
it was in the paperwork. I appreciate
Well,
that.
I read it in the paperwork. I always just like to get it on the,
Yes,
so that
no,
you get an
Get it on the
opportunity to
record.
Get it
Sorry,
on the
I
record.
should just start with that.
Yes, always lead with that.
Yes.
And it's grant funded
However
budgeted.
many Please have.
Yeah, yes. I'm a
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Quinn, and I am a yes, of course, as well. All right, moving on, we have students from the Goldendale Future Business Leaders of America, a request for commissioner support to proclaim February 13th to 19th, 2022 as Future Business Leaders of America Phi Beta Week in Klickitat County. We can pull some chairs up so everybody's got something close.
Yeah, Mr. Christopher's he's all over it.
All right.
Good morning, commissioners, or good afternoon now, but thank you for having us. I'm Rachel Gallagher. I'm the president. This is Garrett Peters. He's the vice president. Lexi Molnar, she's the treasurer. Addie Baumberger, she's the secretary. And this is Heather Gallagher, our advisor. I'd like to start off with some of our objectives. We strive to develop competent business leadership, strengthen the confidence of students in themselves and their work, and create more interest in and understanding of American business enterprise. Some things that we've accomplished throughout our year consist of Backpacks for Kids. We receive food from the Backpacks for Kids organization, and we pack their food in tubs, and we deliver to their places, which would be the Roosevelt School, the primary school, the Goldendale Head Start, the Klickitat School, and the Klickitat Head Start. We also have recently started back up our concessions for our high school basketball games, where we have FBLA students managing inventories and sales. We've also, as of a couple of weeks ago, competed in our FBLA competitive events, where we had all 9 kids place in the top 5 in regionals, and we have 3 kids going to state next month. Some future projects that we have going on are, we have the care packages for the March of Dimes, where we are going to put together care kits for premature babies, their families, and send them to the hospitals. We also have the opportunity to manage the Fort Vancouver Regional Library book sales, where we would sort all their books and put on a huge book sale for them, but that's to be determined. By approving the proposed resolution, you would be supporting your 2 local chapters in Klickitat County, along with our goals of developing business leadership and bridging the gap between our local FBLA and community businesses. Is there any questions?
Seatmates, do you have any questions? Commissioner Christopher, or Commissioner Sauter, your hand was up first.
Go ahead. It's all right. Thank you. First off, yes, I will certainly be supporting the motion for the resolution. But I did have a question about, you referenced the competition that you all participated in. What sort of activities? I mean, what's a FBLA competition? I mean, what sort of things do you do? Are you as a future business leader?
So we have a list of, it's like a 200 page booklet of what you can do. So I myself, I competed in a career portfolio where I made a website, and I put my resume, some objectives that I have. I put on some of my career related education, some things like that, and then I present a 5-minute speech to a group of people. I didn't get to present, I was supposed to, but we didn't have enough judges due to COVID. I know Garrett.
Yeah, I did job interviews, so I had to make a resume and cover letter, and then come up with the position that I'd like to have, and then do a simulated interview with the interviewer.
I did the same as him for the job interview.
Okay, excellent.
I participated in broadcast journalism. I did about a 7-minute speech on a national event and provided 2 videos from my local basketball team interviewing and my high school math teacher, just asking questions like a news cast.
Okay, excellent. I was kind of curious. I'd never, I knew there was competition, but I didn't know. I was trying to think of what kind of activities would be. I didn't know if it was what I thought it might be. So that's pretty exciting. Those are good skills to have. Thank you. That's my only question.
No, good question. They all seem to have very good speaking skills. They don't look nervous. No, it's good. My recommendation to you, Mr. Chairman, is either before or after we make the motion, that the president of this chapter maybe assumes your seat up here on the board and reads the resolution into the record.
I like that.
I think that sounds like a great idea, Commissioner.
Future leaders.
I have to go do that.
No.
Oh, okay.
Whatever the chairman asks you to.
Yeah. You can assume my position.
Come forward, man.
Actually,
I have it on my computer, so I'll just have it read it.
Let's move all this stuff. Make a better picture.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So you're starting here in the matter of, and then you're reading now.
Okay. In the matter of declaring February 13th through the 19th of 2022 FBLA Week in Klickitat County. Whereas Future Business Leaders of America,
Yeah, that was new to me
Delta
too.
Lambda is a nonprofit educational organization whose first chapter was established in Johnson City, Tennessee in 1942. And whereas this organization has grown now to encompass over 250,000 members nationwide in middle schools, high schools, colleges, universities, career and technical schools, and private business schools. And whereas FBLA PBL is a professional business organization dedicated to bringing business and education together in a positive working relationship through innovative leadership and career development programs. And whereas members perform community service activities and strive to build a student's understanding of the realities of the modern business world. And whereas FBLA teachers middle school, high school, and college students business and leadership principles and assist in the transition from school to work. Now, therefore, we, the Klickitat County, do I say that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now, therefore, we, the Klickitat County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim February 13th to the 19th, 2022 as FBLA PBL Week in Klickitat County, dated this 15th day of February 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Yes, I will second the motion.
There is a motion and a second on the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Very well done.
Thank you all for coming in.
Yep, good job.
And thank you for all of the volunteering you're doing in your community. That is absolutely amazing and astounding.
See, whoever's president next year, just know it's coming.
I was actually looking for, I thought maybe one of your competition tasks was like calculating levy rates or something. Click that down. So.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, all of you.
All right.
Thank you for appeasing my request, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Good idea. What a great idea. I took a picture of it, so. All right, we will move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve consent agenda items number 2 through 15, setting aside consent agenda item number 1 and number 16 to be voted on separately.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda items number 2 through 15. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We will move on to the discussion of resolution number 1, being the resolution in the map. What? Yeah.
Did you want another motion for consent agenda items number 1 and number 16?
Yeah, that's what I was moving on to.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 and 16.
Is there a second? I will step down and second the motion. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Christopher, is there anything you'd like to say?
No, I'm going to bite my tongue for now. For the good of the order, I'm going to just not have words. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against say nay.
Nay.
All right. Let the record show the motions carry. Thank you very much.
Do you have bills over there? Oh, you'll love the second one from the back.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve accounts payable warrants in the amount of $240,358.22 and payroll benefit warrants in the amount of $770,733.14 for the date ending February 14th, 2022.
I would second that motion.
There is a motion and a second to pay the bills. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Is that Miss Campbell in the audience?
Yes,
I can't see. Is there something you wanted to talk to us about?
I'm only here unless you have questions. I didn't know, I have, item on the consent agenda.
Already done.
Already done, okay.
We are already past it. Thank you. Have a great day, man.
First,
All right.
did you see the second?
Board pending. Do we have one more bill to pay?
No, I'm just pointing one out. It's within the budget. It's probably grant money. Ready to move on, sir.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't tell what you guys were doing over there. And I was already speaking, but I pressed the mute button. For board pending, what issues does anybody have to bring forward?
Do we want to discuss, I mean, we don't have to do it today, just bringing it up. We had a brief discussion before about county employees using the chat feature and whether we were going to continue with that. I don't know if you want to discuss that now or later.
If you would like to have a discussion on it, feel free.
Well, okay. So as it was brought to our attention, employees using the chat feature might type things they wouldn't necessarily type in an email. And all those chat feature functions are public records. So I do believe it could be a useful feature, but I also think it could be a feature that might get public records requests of employees gossiping back and forth. So I would recommend we don't use chat, just so we limit our potential liabilities there, because everybody's a little more cognitive of what they're doing when they're typing an email.
Yeah, I would concur as far as I think we should discourage folks from using the chat feature. It's another platform that we have to preserve and keep those records. And I think there may be a folks may not know that is, those are still public records.
Not private.
It is not private, that the chat feature, those are public records and they are searchable, and those belong to the public. And so I think we should discourage folks from using the feature.
I would say that is a much more difficult feature to search, unlike the emails. We actually we need to involve IT in that in many instances. So I would be in support as well. Would either of you like to make a motion to direct IT to have the chat feature turned off?
If we need a motion, I'll be happy to make one. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that that the board notifies the IT department of its request to turn the chat feature off on our county software.
I'll second the motion.
There's been a motion and a second to request IT turn the chat feature off for our Google Drive documents. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Does either of you have anything else for the good of the order?
No, I would just maybe report, I had referenced it this morning with Director Kelsey, that as you recall, we were doing some title work, I guess, on the sandbar in Lyle on the Klickitat. Ms. Gleason has provided a bunch of documents. I'll share those. I'll forward those on if anybody's interested as far as their historical documents and stuff. Lots of information on that. Still not a real clear cut. We're still sorting through whether or not there was a access for crossing the railroad tracks at the time of the Forest Service acquisition. From my limited, again, I'm going through the stuff now with her, I believe the access was enforced. The access road is a little different. I believe that was vacated in the 60s, but that's not necessarily relevant to the crossing itself, considering that the intervening property to get to the crossing is public land. You don't need a access road. But I will update the board as we have more specific information.
Thank you, Commissioner Sauter. Yeah, I think there's a little bit more digging here, and all this may do is give us some leverage in the discussions and the negotiations, but it's a lot more positive than it has been.
Yeah.
And I will mention for mine, we are making great progress in both the Oregon and Washington legislatures with regards to the enabling legislation for the Hood River Replacement Project. And at least in the Washington, and it's not baked yet, but there's potential for a transportation package which would have significant funds for the bridge. We're also talking about trying to receive funds for the design of the new bridge, which we're trying in Oregon and Washington to work on those dollars as well. But everything that's been happening has been very, very positive and on both sides. So that would be my report there.
I have a question for Commissioner Sauter on your update that you just gave. Does that group have access to a land use attorney and I don't think do you have any idea if our prosecutor has that?
No, and
you're going to need to reach out to a land use attorney.
Potentially, and I think in the end that's is probably necessary for them to get. Obviously, the prosecuting attorney can't provide legal counsel to a private, even a community organization. They would have to get their own counsel.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing further.
I have nothing further as well. Is Treasurer Gallagher there, or is he online?
He will be
Or the
right
Finance
back.
Committee report?
He does not really have to answer questions. Here it comes.
I guess what I can give as an update is we did not have a Finance Committee meeting, and when I talked to Gallagher earlier, he said there wasn't really a whole lot here, but I'll let him speak for himself since he just walked through the door.
We didn't have.
Do you want to sit up here?
No. She did way better than I would have done. We didn't have a meeting on Friday, and I didn't have anything really to report. So if you guys have any questions, I could answer them, but I don't really have anything.
Nope.
No questions here. Thank you for taking the hike.
Yep, nope, you bet. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Prosecutor Cannell, do you have any updates for the board?
Not for today, no.
All right. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, is there anything else for the good of the order?
Gosh, I guess not. So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting until Thursday, February 17th, 2022 at 9:05 a.m. Workshops are open to the public to attend in person, but Zoom will no longer be being used during the workshop. So it is a public meeting. It's open to the public. You can come, but we will not be Zooming the workshop.
Mr. Chairman, I would second that motion with a note that we'll be on the radio at 8:05.
Yeah, that's good.
There is a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting until Thursday morning. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you all for signing in today. Have a great day, and we will see you Thursday.